After leaving the bakery, you found a peaceful and secluded area behind an abandoned building. You continue to stare down at the plastic-wrapped chocolate cake in your lap. The so-called mystery stranger had graciously purchased you. Just who were they, and who exactly did they know what you were thinking? Well, people had always told you that you were like an open book. But seriously, you weren't that easy to read, right? Perhaps the stranger took pity on you and had decided to help you. Maybe they thought that you were a homeless boy or something. I mean, who wouldn't because of your long hair that covered your face? It seems you have a suitor. The words of Miss Tachiwachi repeated in your head. I know I butchered that. As you can only think about the muscular man with the red and green painted nails. You? A suitor? Huh, that's rich, considering the men and sometimes women that would pass by you. You found a young lady like yourself, unattractive and awkward. You were never cut out to have a beauty or geisha. Or, well, entitled Oiron. No, you were just dull and average, and nothing more. Never in your fit of mold of what Yoshiwara deemed as desirable or captivating. Your presence was often overlooked in the sea more restricting individuals. The thought of being pursed by someone seemed to like a foreign concept to you, something that would only happen in fairy tales or movies. Deep down, though, a flicker of hope always regained, a tiny ember of longing for someone to see beyond the surface and appearance, that uniqueness that you had. You want to be the girl passing through the chocolate forest and hopping in a orange pumpkin carriage that will for sure take you only to milk chocolate colored castle. You want to be the kind of girl who make flowers blossom, the kind of girl who can have someone to love. Alas, it was a hopeless fairy tale. Oh well, at least you got a free chocolate cake as you peeled the plastic off before eating it like a pizza since you had no fork. You hummed in delight at the moist chocolate coated your taste buds. It reminded you of a chocolate served back in the Gurwan as the rich, lavishly texture of the cake melted in your mouth. Only the most noble and wealthy of clients get to enjoy the rich goodness of the chocolate bowl filled with the finest chocolate made by the land's most gifted chocolatiers and a slide of freshly picked fruits. As you savored each bite of the cake, you couldn't help but imagine yourself indulging in a lavish feast. However, by opulence and luxury, the contrast between your current reality and fantasy made the simple pleasure of chocolate cake even more enjoyable. Once you finished, you tossed the wrapper away and took a moment to simply enjoy the serenity before as you took a deep breath, enjoying the sweet smell of cherry blossoms. The gentle rustling of the leaves and the distant chirping of birds added to the peaceful atmosphere, making you feel truly at ease in this moment of tranquility. It felt really good to be away from the brothel, to be able to feel the sun on your skin and the wind through your hair. Someday you hoped to get a place to call home, so that you can enjoy pleasant days like this. However, here in Yoshiwara, work has difficult to find, and for you, work hours were long and difficult, and pay was so low that you couldn't afford much nice things or a life of luxury. Despite the hardships, you persevered and continued to work hard as an umbrella maker determined to make a better life for herself in the future. After the death of your family, who were secretly killed by a demon, but you don't know that. You knew grew up in the slums and once had a job as an umbrella maker. The memories of your lost loved ones haunted you, driving you to work even harder to escape the poverty and despair of your surroundings. You poured your heart and soul into each umbrella you crafted, finding solace in the rhythm motions of your hand as you wove together threads of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Again, pay was little, making you revert to a life of, petty theft. It was then you encountered Lady Yatamoto after she caught you trying to steal her wallet. Instead of calling authorities on you, she graciously took you under her wing, and you were brought to work and live at the Gurwan as a punishment to pay off your debts. The life of a courtesan wasn't really what you wanted. The demands and hardships of such a life were too much for you to bear. Work hours were long and difficult, and the abuse you suffered was commonplace, both from clients and employers. It said very few women make it to middle age, but those who did make it were said to become legendary and were considered extremely powerful. These women were not just survivors of a harsh reality, but also shaped of their destiny, using their experience to rise above the courtesans of the circumstances. Their stories were whispers and harsh tones, passed down through generations as a testament to the strength and tranquility of the human spirit. In a world where women had agency, these courtesans proved that they could not only survive, but thrive, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to inspire others to this day. You were another story, however. The constant verbal abuse and physical labor had taken a toll on you, turning you into a nervous wreck. As a result of the mistreatment you endure at the hands of Lady Yatamoto and Sayomi, you allowed your hair to grow longer and cover your face, shielding yourself from the harsh reality, and so people started referring you as a Kijiro, a name you were unfamiliar with at first. Apparently, the Kijiro is a yokai from an old Japanese urban legend, described as a mysterious woman whose face and body are concealed by a tangled mass of long, unkempt hair, much like your appearance right now. According to the tales passed down through generations, the Kijiro is said to lurk in the shadows of the red light district, preying on unsuspected young men. When spotted from behind, her hair obscures her features. She may appear familiar to her victims, prompting them to approach her. Or they're just captivated by the beauty of her back. However, upon turning to face her, the horrible individual are met with the unsettling sight of her hair tendrils, sending shivers down their spine. This resemblance to the Kijiro gave rise to the eerie nickname you have been given, associated with you with a ghost known for its haunting presence. The idea of conspiring yourself to such silly urban legends made you chuckle. Despite the settling ascension, you found horror in the absolute of being inked as a ghost. The only difference was that you weren't a ghost. You weren't a prostitute, despite the way you dressed. You always made sure to keep your dignity intact, refusing to sell your body for money. You preferred to work hard and earn an honest living, even if it meant struggling to make ends meet. Never had you slept with or had you had any sexual intercourse with men, mostly because you were scared and you didn't want to give yourself to someone you didn't love. You believed in the sanctuary of love and intimacy, wanting to share the special connection with someone who truly cared for you. The idea that casually encounters left and feeling empty and hollow, longing for a deep emotional bond that was missing in your life. You often had dreams of meeting that special someone to come along and sweep you off your feet, and take you away, of course. You wished you had a fairy godmother to help you make dreams come true. However, that kind of magic only exists in fairy tales. So instead, you held on to hope that one day fate would bring you face to face with the person who would change your life forever. However, your Prince Charming you hoped he will love and accept you for who you are. But What are the odds of someone falling in love with you? You thought. Everyone knows there's no such thing as happily ever after, and the chances of you finding that person were 0 to none. Fat chance. You spat bitterly before bending over to pick up a rock. You threw it, watching it skip through the water, each skip a painful reminder of the obstacle in your path. Yoshiwara is not meant for love, and you think it's far too late for you. The streets are filled with broken dreams and shattered hearts, a place where hope went to die. Maybe you should go back to the slums? At least you have no one to bully you and tell you what to do. In the dingy alleyways of your past, you were free to be yourself, no presents or remarks required. Looking up at the sky, you noticed it was getting sort of late. You've been so immersed in your thoughts that you nearly lost track of time. You needed to pick up a bottle of champagne, no doubt. Both Lady Yatomoto and Sayomi were waiting for you to return and probably growing impatient. You sighed half-heartedly before turning on your heels of your Zori, about to leave, when suddenly you heard rustling above you. You immediately turned your attention towards the sound and glanced upwards towards the cherry tree. From where you stood, you saw something shimmer in the sunlight. You parted your hair slightly and lifted your hand over your eyes to block out the sunlight in order to get a better look at the strange object. However, your eye-colored eyes seemingly immediately widened in surprise and horror to not see an object, but a really tall man looking at you. "Heyo there, I was just passing by and wanted to let you know," he shouted with a hand cupping the side of his mouth. His voice echoed through the quiet ruin. "You have an amazing ass."